So we have the Web of Science, which is the two first ones are really made for bibliometric analysis. So Web of Science, it's pretty selective and it's not for free. So, and Scopus, same, it's not for free. So usually both of them, if you don't have any, it's paid access. If you just go as you alone, you won't see much from them. Usually you have some access through your library in your institution. So for example, University of Montreal has a Web of Science and UQAM has Scopus. Google Scholar is available for all. You have Microscope Academic. So it's discontinued since 2021. So, but everything before is still running. There's lots of interesting things in there. It's not very well known. PubMed, it's very exhaustive. You have everything related to biomedical science, but it's not very practical for bibliometric analysis. So Semantic Scholar, Crossref, Dimensions, which is a compilation of different databases. So the main characteristic that we want to do a citations analysis is the indexing of all authors' addresses, indexing of all cited reference. Because many databases do not have that. They are not optimized for the production of bibliometric indicators, but you can find the articles there, which is usually why we use them. So in Scopus and Web of Science, use what is displayed with a normal access. You have the journal and title, you have the authors, the addresses, the abstract, and the references. You don't have the acknowledgements, you don't have the material and methods. So when you work on the platform, it's very difficult to track if you've been acknowledged or if some of your technology has been used. But you can find them through Google Scholar though. But if you have hundreds of thousands of articles to review, that might be complicated. So the Web of Science is from Clarivate Analytics. It used to be the Institute for Scientific Information. It was the first citation index created in 1961. There's lots of other index like Genetic Citation Index, which is a subset. So you have, of course, Web of Science, Web of Knowledge, Thomson Reuters, Thomson Scientific. It's based on Shepard citation that created the law in 1873. It was funded by NSF back in the 60s, launched in 64. It has, it was acquired for $3.5 billion in 2016. So you can see the value of those things. So for the stories, the science citation index at the root of that. So Clarivate Analytics is the great granddaughter of Eugene Garfield's Science Citation Index. This is what it looked like back in the day before the internet to understand which article was cited by whom, like rows and rows of books in libraries. So I invite you to watch the video in the link later on. That will give you a good idea of the huge amount of work it was to compile this index. Scopus is from Elsevier. It was launched in 2004. There's 78 millions of documents, maybe more today. It's a vertical integration of Elsevier journals, so it's not independent really. So there's lots of journal, lots of conference proceedings, lots of books. Web of Science didn't have a lot of books originally. And there's a good disambiguation of authors, and you will see in the demo why it's important. So what is interesting to know, when you look at both databases, you can see that, so NSC is natural science and engineering, biomedical, social sciences, and arts and humanities. Scopus only, well, for all the publications out there, there's not necessarily a huge overlap between the two. So what you can say here is that Scopus has unique publications that are visible only on their platform. So for certain things that you have a hard time finding through Web of Science, that might be a good idea to look at Scopus as an alternative. PubMed, of course, we know, I guess we all use it, especially in imaging. It's public and free. There's lots of mesh headings, which are very nice keywords taxonomy. But the issue is that the address was on the first author before 2014, just the first author had the address there. But it's good to use with other sources like DOI. It's comprehensive, there's precise classification of document, but it's not a citation index. And you have the link to open access articles. So it's a really great tool to get the article. Dimension is very interesting. Again, it's not for free that you get access to all the features, but you have all the publication, clinical trials, patents, policy documents, grants, metric data points. So where they measure social media. So that's an interesting one to have a look at. So here I did a little test run on my publication. They're not amazing, but it's a good way to see by comparing Google Scholar, Web of Science, and Scopus how I am visible or not there. So in 2005, I became a full-time co-facility manager, but some publications continued until 2008 back from where I was in the lab, but nothing after. And all my other contributions to science are completely invisible, at least through the articles. But still, when you put my name in Google Scholar, you have about 8,000 results. And some of them are accurate, it's really me. There's even my master's thesis, and after a few pages, nothing relevant anymore. It's not surprising. My profile shows 28 publications. I have 13, with a total of 1,500 citations. And of course, I didn't publish anything since 2008, at least not through that route. With Web of Science, I have 900 citations. I have an H index of 13, which stays the same, 13, which stays the same along the 3. Same thing for Scopus, but Scopus now have 1,000 citations with the same H index. I'll explain the H index later. So it's very interesting to see that depending who you look, where you look at, you don't necessarily have exactly the same profile. And the conclusion also is that H index doesn't really care about your actual number of citation. It's really an artificial index. I'll explain later. So now we can head for a little 5 minutes break to digest a little bit what I just mentioned. And we continue later with discussion about indicators.